For over 2,000 years, the story of Jesus Christ has captivated billions. His teachings, sacrifice, and role as the Savior have left an undeniable mark on history. His influence continues to shape the beliefs and values of millions around the world. Art, music, literature, and countless aspects of human civilization bear witness to the profound impact of Jesus Christ. His message of love, forgiveness, and redemption has resonated across cultures and time. The story of Jesus, as presented in the Gospels, describes a life filled with miracles, teachings, and ultimately a sacrifice intended to redeem humanity from sin. This narrative has served as a source of hope, inspiration, and moral guidance for countless individuals throughout history. Even those who do not subscribe to the Christian faith cannot deny the significance of Jesus in shaping Western civilization. From the rise of hospitals and universities to the abolition of slavery, Christian principles have fueled countless social and humanitarian endeavors. The story of Jesus continues to be a subject of study, debate, and reflection, attesting to its enduring power and influence. The 21st century presents a complex and evolving religious landscape. There's a growing trend of people questioning or abandoning traditional Christian beliefs. This shift is noticeable among younger generations, identifying as religiously unaffiliated. Factors include secularism, scientific advancements, and diverse information access. The Internet provides a platform for alternative viewpoints and critical analysis. Exposure to diverse ideas leads to questioning long-held beliefs. Scandals and perceived hypocrisy erode trust in organized religion. Many seek spiritual fulfillment outside traditional religious structures. This search leads to exploring ancient wisdom, mindfulness, or alternative spiritual paths. This brings us to the crux of our exploration today, the Zeitgeist Theory. This theory challenges the traditional understanding of Jesus Christ and the origins of Christianity. It posits that the story of Jesus is rooted in earlier pagan myths and traditions. The Zeitgeist Theory, often met with controversy, offers a radical reinterpretation of the Christian narrative. We will examine the evidence and explore its implications for our understanding of Christianity. The Zeitgeist Theory directly challenges one of the foundational beliefs of Christianity, the uniqueness of Jesus Christ. It suggests that the story of Jesus, rather than being a singular and divinely inspired event, is deeply intertwined with earlier myths and traditions that predate Christianity by centuries. This theory argues that the key elements of the Jesus narrative, including his virgin birth, miracles, death, and resurrection, are not unique to Christianity. Instead, they are echoed in numerous ancient myths and religions, suggesting a borrowing of themes and symbols rather than a unique revelation. Proponents of the Zeitgeist Theory emphasize that this borrowing doesn't diminish the significance of the Jesus story, but rather places it within a broader historical and cultural context. They argue that understanding the influence of these earlier myths is crucial to comprehending the development of early Christian thought and belief. At the heart of the Zeitgeist Theory lies the idea of synthesis. It proposes that the story of Jesus, as presented in the Gospels, is not a literal historical account, but rather a carefully crafted narrative that weaves together elements from various pre-existing myths. This synthesis, according to the theory, was not necessarily a deliberate act of deception, but rather a reflection of the cultural milieu in which Christianity emerged. The ancient world was a melting pot of beliefs, myths, and rituals. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, it inevitably encountered and interacted with these existing belief systems. The Zeitgeist Theory suggests that early Christians, whether consciously or unconsciously, incorporated familiar themes and symbols from these older traditions into their own burgeoning faith. This process of synthesis, proponents argue, helps to explain the widespread appeal of Christianity in its early centuries. By incorporating familiar elements from existing belief systems, Christianity could resonate with a wider audience and facilitate conversion. The Zeitgeist Theory draws upon ancient myths and religions, highlighting parallels between Jesus and deities from Egyptian, Persian, Greek, and Roman mythology. These parallels suggest a common mythological archetype. For instance, Jesus and Horus share similarities in birth, miracles, and resurrection. Similarly, Jesus and Mithras share themes of light, salvation, and communal meals. These parallels suggest the influence of mystery cults on early Christian rituals. Zeitgeist refers to the spirit of the times, the prevailing intellectual, cultural, and moral climate of an era. The story of Jesus emerged within a zeitgeist filled with myths of dying and rising gods, solar deities, and celestial symbolism. Early Christians inherited and adapted these themes, reflecting their era's religious and cultural ideas. The Gospel's story of Jesus is seen as a myth, embodying the hopes and fears of its time. Within this cultural tapestry, woven from ancient myths, the figure of Jesus emerges. The Zeitgeist theory proposes that the story of Jesus is intertwined with ancient astronomical observations and myths. Proponents argue that many elements of the Jesus story trace back to early celestial observations. They claim Jesus, as the Son of God, is a solar deity, personifying the sun. This is based on myths about sun gods in various ancient cultures. Proponents of the Zeitgeist theory point to a number of parallels between the story of Jesus and the myths of various sun gods from antiquity. These parallels, they argue, are too numerous and specific to be mere coincidence. For instance, just as Jesus is said to have been born on December 25th, many sun gods, including Mithras and Sol Invictus, were also associated with the winter solstice. This date, marking the sun's rebirth as it begins its journey northward again, held significant religious meaning in many ancient cultures. Furthermore, just as Jesus is said to have died and been resurrected after 3 days, many sun gods were also associated with cycles of death and rebirth. The sun's daily disappearance below the horizon and reappearance the next morning, as well as its death in winter and resurrection in spring, provided powerful metaphors for these ancient cultures. The Zeitgeist theory suggests that the story of Jesus is essentially an allegory for the sun's journey through the zodiac. According to this theory, the 12 disciples represent the 12 constellations of the zodiac, and the events of Jesus' life correspond to the sun's movement through these constellations. For example, the miracle of Jesus turning water into wine at the wedding at Cana is interpreted as an allegory for the sun's entry into the constellation of Aquarius, the water-bearer. Similarly, the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus are seen as representing the sun's death at the winter solstice and its subsequent rebirth. This astrological interpretation of the Jesus story, while not widely accepted by scholars of religion or history, is seen by Zeitgeist proponents as further evidence that Christianity borrowed heavily from pre-existing myths and traditions. The Zeitgeist theory points to the 12 disciples of Jesus as a clear example of astrological influence on the Christian narrative. Just as there are 12 constellations in the zodiac, there are 12 disciples chosen to follow Jesus. This parallel, they argue, is too significant to ignore. Each disciple, according to this theory, represents a specific constellation and its associated characteristics. For example, Peter, often considered the leader of the disciples, is linked to the constellation of Aries, the ram, which is associated with leadership and courage. This astrological interpretation of the disciples suggests that the number 12 was chosen for its symbolic significance, reflecting the ancient belief in the influence of celestial bodies on human affairs. The Zeitgeist theory argues that this connection to astrology further undermines the claim that Christianity's origins are entirely unique. The Zeitgeist theory further emphasizes the astrological significance of the date attributed to Jesus' birth, December 25th. This date, close to the winter solstice, was already a time of great religious significance in the Roman world before the rise of Christianity. Mithras, a popular deity in the Roman Empire, was also said to have been born on December 25th. This coincidence, according to Zeitgeist proponents, suggests that the date of Jesus' birth was chosen to coincide with existing pagan festivals and celebrations, making it easier for early Christians to convert followers of these older traditions. The winter solstice, marking the shortest day of the year and the sun's rebirth, was seen as a time of hope and renewal. By associating Jesus' birth with this date, early Christians could tap into these pre-existing beliefs and present Jesus as a symbol of hope and salvation. The Zeitgeist Theory argues that the story of Jesus draws heavily on pre-existing myths and cultural trends. Early Christianity borrowed from Egyptian, Persian, Greek, and Roman mythology. The concept of a dying and rising God was not unique to Christianity. Similar myths existed in many ancient cultures, like Osiris, Adonis, and Attis. Early Christians adapted these themes from existing traditions. This borrowing was a natural consequence of cultural exchange. Proponents of the Zeitgeist theory argue that the similarities between the story of Jesus and earlier myths are not coincidental, but rather point to the existence of universal themes and archetypes that resonate across cultures and time periods. The concept of a virgin birth, for example, is found in numerous mythologies, from the birth of Horus in Egypt to the birth of Buddha in India. Similarly, the theme of a heroic figure who sacrifices himself for the salvation of humanity is a recurring motif in mythology and literature. From Prometheus in Greek mythology to Odin in Norse mythology, the archetype of the self-sacrificing hero appears in various forms throughout human history. The Zeitgeist theory suggests that the story of Jesus, rather than being a unique and unprecedented event, is simply another iteration of these universal themes expressed through the cultural and religious lens of first-century Judea. While the specific details may differ, the underlying archetypes and narratives remain consistent. Let's travel back in time to ancient Egypt, a civilization steeped in mythology and symbolism. Here we encounter Horus, one of the most important deities in the Egyptian pantheon. Often depicted as a falcon or a human with a falcon head, Horus was revered as the god of kingship, the sky, and protection. His story is filled with intrigue, betrayal, and triumph over adversity. Horus's origins are linked to his parents, Osiris and Isis. Osiris was murdered by his jealous brother, Set. Isis used her powers to resurrect Osiris long enough to conceive Horus. Horus was born into a world marked by conflict and struggle. His birth was a cosmic event, imbued with symbolic meaning. As the son of Osiris, he inherited the right to rule Egypt, but Set usurped the throne. Horus's destiny was to avenge his father's death and reclaim his rightful place as king. The circumstances surrounding Horus's birth are particularly intriguing when compared to the Christian narrative. According to Egyptian mythology, Horus was conceived miraculously. After Osiris's death, Isis retrieved his dismembered body and, using her magical powers, brought him back to life briefly. It was during this brief resurrection that Isis conceived Horus. This narrative of a miraculous conception, where a god impregnates a woman without traditional intercourse, bears a striking resemblance to the Christian story of the virgin birth of Jesus. As Horus grew, he faced numerous challenges and dangers orchestrated by his uncle Set. Horus's life, like that of Jesus, was marked by trials and tribulations, tests of his strength and resolve. One particularly intriguing parallel between Horus and Jesus can be found in the motif of baptism. According to Egyptian mythology, Horus underwent a symbolic baptism in the Nile River. This ritual cleansing, performed by Anup, the Egyptian god of embalming, was seen as a necessary step in Horus's preparation for his role as king. This ritual cleansing bears a striking resemblance to the baptism of Jesus by John the Baptist in the Jordan River. The culmination of Horus's struggles with Set was a fierce battle in which Horus was victorious. However, this victory came at a cost. Horus lost an eye in the battle, a sacrifice that symbolized the price of justice and order. This lost eye, later restored by the god Thoth, became a powerful symbol of healing and protection in Egyptian culture. While Horus did not experience a literal death and resurrection like Jesus, his myth includes episodes of death and rebirth symbolism. Osiris's death and resurrection played a crucial role in Horus's own story, establishing a precedent for the idea that death is not the end, but rather a transition to another state of being. The parallels between Horus and Jesus, while not always exact, are too numerous and striking to be dismissed as mere coincidence. The Zeitgeist Theory suggests that early Christians incorporated existing myths and symbols into their own developing narrative about Jesus. This borrowing was not necessarily a deliberate act of deception, but rather a reflection of the cultural milieu in which Christianity emerged. As Christianity spread throughout the Roman Empire, it inevitably encountered and interacted with these existing belief systems. Our journey into the heart of the Zeitgeist Theory continues, and our next stop takes us to the heart of the Roman Empire, where we encounter another intriguing figure, Mithras. Mithraism, the mystery religion centered around Mithras, was one of the most popular cults in the Roman world, particularly among soldiers and merchants. Mithras, often depicted as a young man slaying a bull, was revered as a god of light, truth, and justice. His origins lie in ancient Persian mythology, but his worship spread widely throughout the Roman Empire. One of the most striking parallels between Mithras and Jesus lies in their shared birth date, December 25th. In the Roman world, December 25th marked the winter solstice, the shortest day of the year and the rebirth of the sun. Mithras, as a god of light, was closely associated with the winter solstice, and his birth was celebrated on this day. The fact that both Mithras and Jesus were said to have been born on December 25th has led proponents of the Zeitgeist Theory to argue that the Christian celebration of Christmas is an adaptation of an older, more widespread pagan festival. Another intriguing parallel between Mithras and Jesus lies in their shared roles as saviors and the significance of sacrifice in their respective narratives. Mithras, in Mithraic mythology, is often depicted slaying a bull, an act known as the tauroctony. This sacrifice of the bull was central to the Mithraic faith, symbolizing the triumph of good over evil, light over darkness, and the cycle of death and rebirth. This emphasis on sacrifice resonates with the Christian belief in the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross, which is seen as an atonement for the sins of humanity. Furthermore, both Mithraism and Christianity placed great importance on a communal meal shared by initiates. The similarities between the Mithraic banquet and the Christian Eucharist or Holy Communion are striking. In both rituals, bread and wine are consumed as symbols of the Savior's body and blood, and the meal represents a spiritual communion with the divine. This parallel has led proponents of the Zeitgeist Theory to argue that the Christian Eucharist is an adaptation of an older, more widespread practice found in Mithraism and other mystery cults. The popularity of Mithraism in the Roman Empire, particularly among soldiers who were also early converts to Christianity, suggests that these two faiths may have influenced each other significantly. Our exploration of the Zeitgeist Theory now takes us to ancient India, a land rich in spiritual traditions and ancient wisdom. Here we encounter Krishna, one of the most beloved and revered deities in Hinduism. Often depicted as a youthful cowherd playing a flute, Krishna is considered an avatar, a direct incarnation of the divine, embodying love, wisdom, and divine playfulness. Krishna's story, as recounted in the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata, is a captivating blend of adventure, romance, philosophy, and spiritual teachings. Krishna's birth, like that of Jesus, was surrounded by extraordinary circumstances, prophesied long before his arrival. His parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, were imprisoned by his tyrannical uncle, King Kamsa, who feared a prophecy foretelling his death at the hands of Devaki's eighth son. Despite their imprisonment, Devaki and Vasudeva were visited by the divine, who assured them of their son's divine nature and his role in restoring balance to the world. Powai, Krishna's life, like that of Jesus, is replete with miracles and teachings that have resonated through the ages. From a young age, Krishna displayed extraordinary abilities, subduing venomous serpents, lifting mountains to protect villagers, and even stealing butter, a seemingly mischievous act that symbolized his playful defiance of rigid social norms. As Krishna grew older, his teachings, like those of Jesus, emphasized love, compassion, and the importance of living a virtuous life. The Bhagavad Gita, a sacred Hindu text, recounts a dialogue between Krishna and the warrior Arjuna on the eve of a great battle. The story of Krishna, like that of Jesus, culminates in a departure from the earthly realm, leaving behind a legacy of teachings and a promise of return. After playing a pivotal role in the epic battle of Kurukshetra, guiding the Pandavas to victory and restoring righteousness to the land, Krishna departs from his earthly form, ascending to the heavens. Krishna's followers believe that he will return when adharma, or unrighteousness, once again threatens to engulf the world. The Zeitgeist Theory delves deep into the realm of astronomy, seeking connections between celestial events and the narratives we hold sacred. One of the most compelling aspects of this theory is its interpretation of the Jesus story as an allegory for the sun's annual journey through the heavens. Just as the sun rises in the east and sets in the west, marking the passage of each day, so too does Jesus' life, according to this theory, mirror the sun's annual cycle. His birth, death, and resurrection are seen as symbolic representations of the sun's apparent movements throughout the year. The significance of December 25th extends far beyond the Christian tradition. In many ancient cultures, this date was associated with the birth of solar deities, gods, and goddesses who embodied the life-giving power of the sun. Mithras, the Roman god of light and truth, was said to have been born on December 25th, as was Sol Invictus, the Roman sun god. By associating Jesus' birth with this date, early Christians could tap into these pre-existing beliefs and present Jesus as a symbol of hope, salvation, and the triumph of light over darkness. The Zeitgeist Theory extends its astronomical interpretation to the cross, suggesting it has pagan origins as a solar symbol. In many ancient cultures, the cross represented the sun god and the life-giving power of the sun. The 4 points of the cross symbolized the sun's dominion over the world. The cross's shape could represent the sun's path across the sky. Beyond the sun's annual journey, the Zeitgeist Theory delves into the realm of astrological ages, vast periods marked by the slow precession of the Earth's axis. Each astrological age, lasting roughly 2,160 years, is associated with a particular zodiacal constellation, influencing, according to astrologers, the cultural and spiritual trends of that era. Proponents of the Zeitgeist Theory point to the emergence of Christianity during the age of Pisces, which began around the time of Jesus' birth. Pisces, the fish, is a symbol often associated with spirituality, compassion, and sacrifice, themes that resonate strongly with the Christian faith. They argue that the timing of Jesus' birth during this astrological age was no coincidence. The symbolism of Pisces, with its association with water, cleansing, and spiritual rebirth, aligned perfectly with the message of redemption and salvation offered by Christianity. Even the story of the Star of Bethlehem, guiding the wise men to the birthplace of Jesus, is examined through the lens of astrology and the Zeitgeist Theory. This celestial phenomenon, traditionally interpreted as a miraculous sign announcing the birth of the Messiah, is seen by some proponents of the theory as a possible astrological event. Some speculate that the Star of Bethlehem could have been a conjunction of planets, a rare alignment of celestial bodies that ancient astrologers believed held special significance. These conjunctions, occurring when planets appear close together in the sky from our vantage point on Earth, were often seen as harbingers of significant events. While the exact nature of the Star of Bethlehem remains a subject of debate, the Zeitgeist Theory proposes that its appearance, whether a miraculous sign or an astrological event, was interpreted through the lens of existing astrological beliefs, further supporting the idea that Christianity emerged within a world deeply influenced by astrology and celestial symbolism. As we've journeyed through the intricate tapestry of ancient myths, astronomical observations, and astrological beliefs, we've encountered a compelling body of evidence presented by proponents of the Zeitgeist Theory. The sheer number of parallels between the story of Jesus and earlier traditions, from the myths of Horus and Mithras to the narratives surrounding Krishna, gives pause for thought. The recurring themes of virgin births, divine miracles, sacrificial deaths, and triumphant resurrections, echoing across cultures and time periods, challenge us to reconsider the assumed uniqueness of the Christian narrative. Could these striking similarities be mere coincidence? Or do they point to a deeper, more fundamental truth about the origins of Christianity? Proponents of the Zeitgeist theory argue that the weight of this evidence cannot be ignored. They suggest that the story of Jesus, as presented in the Gospels, is not a historical account of a unique individual, but rather a carefully crafted myth, drawing heavily from pre-existing religious and mythological frameworks. The Zeitgeist theory, whether ultimately embraced or rejected, compels us to reframe our perspective on the origins of Christianity. It challenges us to consider the possibility that the story of Jesus, rather than being a radical departure from the past, emerged from a rich tapestry of existing beliefs, myths, and cultural trends. This reframing doesn't diminish the power or significance of the Jesus story. Instead, it places it within a broader historical and cultural context, acknowledging the influence of earlier traditions while recognizing the unique contributions of Christianity. The Zeitgeist theory encourages us to view Christianity not as an isolated phenomenon, but as part of a larger human story, a story marked by a persistent search for meaning, purpose, and connection to the divine. The Zeitgeist theory, while controversial, serves as a potent reminder that the search for truth is an ongoing journey, not a destination. It encourages us to question assumptions, to delve deeper into the historical and cultural roots of our beliefs, and to remain open to alternative interpretations. Whether we ultimately agree or disagree with the Zeitgeist theory's conclusions, the process of engaging with its claims can be an enriching experience. It challenges us to move beyond dogma and embrace critical thinking, fostering a more nuanced and informed understanding of our own beliefs. The search for truth is not about clinging to comfortable certainties, but about embracing the unknown, asking difficult questions, and remaining open to the possibility that our understanding of the world may need to evolve. Regardless of its historical accuracy, the story of Jesus has undoubtedly had a profound impact on human civilization. It has inspired countless acts of love, compassion, and selflessness, shaping art, music, literature, and ethical systems for centuries. The Zeitgeist theory, by highlighting the similarities between the Jesus narrative and earlier myths, reminds us of the enduring power of myth itself. Myths, whether rooted in historical events or not, serve a vital function in human societies. They provide meaning, purpose, and a sense of connection to something larger than ourselves. The story of Jesus, regardless of its origins, continues to resonate with millions because it speaks to universal human experiences. The struggle between good and evil, the search for meaning and purpose, the hope for redemption and a better world.
If you enjoy our content, we'd love your support. By joining one of our channel memberships, you help us continue creating videos like this one while gaining access to some amazing perks. As a member, you'll unlock exclusive content available only to supporters, earn loyalty badges to show off in comments and live chats, and enjoy priority responses to your comments, shoutouts, and more. The best part? Memberships start at just $2.99 a month, less than a cup of coffee. Even small contributions make a big difference for the PJ Bible TV team in covering production costs and delivering the content you love. And if you're not ready to become a channel member today but still want to support us, there are other ways to help. Engaging with our videos is a tremendous way to show your support. By taking just a few moments to like the video, share it with friends, family, or on social media, and leave a comment, you're telling the YouTube algorithm to share our content with more people. Your support, no matter how you choose to show it, means the world to us. Thank you for being part of the PJ Bible TV community.